Do you ever get tired of the way that your home looks? You look around the room and you think, this looks as tired as I feel. If furniture or room arrangements or home decor could have bags under their eyes, like we might do after a long 3 months of work, sleepless nights with little one, big and little adventures, some planned or some unplanned, if those rooms could have bags under their eyes, would they? I bet they would. Friend, we are talking all about ways that you can update your tired-looking space in maybe a little bit more unexpected ways, adding a little bit of personality, maybe a little bit of whimsy to your home to make it feel just a teeny tiny more unique. And I don't really like that word because I feel like it's so generic, even though it's not meant to be. But we'll just use it here. A teeny tiny little bit more unique and a lot less cookie cutter. If that is you, if you're ready to get a few more ideas for how you can make some of those changes even this weekend, stick around. Maybe take some notes. All right, enjoy today's show. We grew up with the phrase, home is where the heart is, but our culture has shifted and now the message is, home should be Pinterest perfect. I'm calling BS on that message. Home, it's not about the stuff, it's about the story. And whether you know it or not, your home is a reflection of you and is already saying something. So what is it that you want it to say? Hey, I'm Danny, a former first grade teacher turned home decorator. Going from a dual income to a single income so I could stay home with my babies meant budget, like ramen eating, Goodwill shopping budget. And I learned a few things along the way, like how to bring big style to your home without breaking the bank. And I'm sharing it all with you. Tips, tricks, decor, and design advice so you can learn to tell your story with your style, where you can start living free from the Pinterest perfect trap and start living a life of intention. Welcome to Fig and Farm at Home, where we design happy living and where it doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. Okay, so we are tired of the beige, we're tired of the white, we're tired of all of those pretty pictures that we saw on Pinterest years ago and we replicated. Now we're saying, that's a little bit boring. I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for my home to have just a teeny bit more personality. I'm ready for it to look not so white, not so gray, not so beige. I'm ready for it to have a little bit of fun and playfulness. And I don't even want to say fun and playfulness. It really could be just change in general. Some of the ideas, however, I have today are playful, they are fun, and they might not be your cup of tea, but what I want to remind you is that our homes don't have to be so serious. They just don't. A few years ago, I had a client and she was stuck in that she had a brand new home and she was stuck, and admittedly so, she would admit that she was stuck in the whites, the grays, the beiges, very, very neutral. And she knew that it was actually affecting her mood. She's a very colorful person by nature, and she craved that, but she felt like if she embraced some of that color, she would be not misrepresenting herself, but she would be not adulting. And that couldn't be further from the truth. If you crave color, if you love color, if you want some of that vibrancy, of course that's one way you can add that change. But if you want a little bit of a different look than what you're seeing all over in Pinterest or Instagram or what have you, it's okay. Play, experiment, try it out. Don't be afraid to be you, because your home is designed for that. Your home is designed to be a space that not only reflects you, but it's a place that you should look around and think, I really love being here. Now, does that mean that you're going to love absolutely every inch of every space all the time? No, and there are going to be times when it's tiring and you need to make an update and all the things. But if right now you're looking around and you think, I don't like what I see, that is your clue. That is your sign. That is what you were probably holding out for in order to know if you should make a change or not. So here we go. Here are 5 ways that you can add a little bit more personality to your home. The first one is to add pattern. If we take a look, for example, at all of the throw pillows that we have on our couches, our chairs, all the places, and we see a sea of flat, solid colors, that could be fine. It could be a wonderful foundation. In fact, I use flat, solid colors as an anchor base for my pillows, but I like to have sometimes a little bit of pattern. And pattern mixing can be very, very intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. You can have pattern in your rug and a different pattern on your pillows. You can have two different patterns on your pillows. You can have pattern on your walls. You can have pattern all over the place. But here's a simple rule to follow. Are you ready? If you have a geometric pattern, a stripe, a polka dot, a waffle weave, a flannel, an argyle, anything that has a geometric shape to it, you can pair it with something that is a little bit more fluid. So think florals, think iCat, think toile. Any of those can be paired with something a little bit more geometric. So don't feel like just because the pillows that you have on your couch are all check, or they're all flannel, or they're all stripe, that you have to stick with that same pattern or go with solid. Mix it up a little bit. Have a little bit of fun. Side note, one of the rules in order to make sure that those cohabitate nicely together is just to make sure there's some sort of element tying it together. So if I have a stripe sitting next to a floral, I want something to be repeated within each other so that those two make sense. So for example, if I have a stripy pillow that is white and fuchsia, and I have a floral pillow that is mostly blues and a little bit of white and maybe just a teeny tiny bit of fuchsia, those would go really well next to each other because you've got the repeating white and you've got the repeating fuchsia. Okay, number 2, add color. And I did kind of allude to that, but if you have been living in that sea of all white or that Studio McGee look and feel, that all beige, and those, by the way, are still very lovely current looks, and those are trends. They will go away, just like, a lot of the things are. But if you're looking for something that is just a little bit more bold, that has just a little bit more playfulness added to it, you can still use the foundation of those pieces you have and then just add a pop here and there of color. In fact, if you have a lot of white, if you have white walls, white furniture, you are in such a good position to kind of swap out. If you're in that season, or around January, where you want your home to feel kind of quiet and hushed and light and ambient, all whites make a lot of sense. But if you're, transitioning into, I'll just say summer, even though we're moving out of it, and summer can kind of feel naturally more playful and vibrant and fun, all you have to do is then swap out some of those whites for some deeper, saturated, more bold colors, and same thing for other times or throughout the year. So just because you have white maybe as a foundation now is not a bad thing. In fact, it's a very, very good thing. That is one of the reasons why I absolutely love painting walls a light neutral color, because it allows the flexibility to play with the bigger pieces, the smaller pieces, the curtains. It just allows you to play so much more when you have a lighter foundation. But keep in mind that color doesn't just have to be on the wall. In fact, committing to a wall color is really committing to quite a bit. Not only just in time, in money it takes to paint it, but once you paint, you get all kinds of energy and excitement to do the painting job, and then you get it up. And what if you don't like it? Sometimes getting that energy to reverse it, renew it, redo it is, you don't want to do it and you don't touch it and you get stuck then for several more years. So my thought would actually be, when you're adding color, don't do it on the wall unless you're certain. But can you change out your curtains? Can you change out some art pieces? Can you add a couple throw pillows? Can you paint a piece of furniture? Can you paint teeny tiny pieces of furniture? So it's not like you're committing to a whole credenza. Maybe you're committing to a stool. Adding little pops of color here and there, even in those beautiful, going back to that Studio McGee example where she has lots of earthen tones and colors, that are very muted, adding even those colors to your space is going to add just a little bit more personality where it might be missing otherwise. Number 3 is to think about whimsical art. This is one of those things where I really strongly encourage, a couple things when we're adding personality to our home. One is ditch the couch pillows. You know this if you've been around for any length of time. The other is to ditch the box store art. So the things that come in threes, the things that look like you might find it at your neighbor's home, those are 2 strong, easy ways you can add personality immediately. So swap out those pieces that you might have gotten a while ago, those farmhouse word art or those canvas prints, the things that come in threes. Those are really great for when you're selling your home or you're staging your home or you're hosting an Airbnb and you need something a little bit more generic and not so personal. Those are perfect for those kinds of homes. But a home that is infused with your personality, we want it to be infused with your personality. So swap those out, save those for another time, or bless and release and give those away, and replace them with things that are a little bit more whimsical. A couple things that immediately come to mind are thinking about art that you wouldn't necessarily picture as art. Right now, currently in my shop, I have tennis rackets, vintage tennis rackets hanging as a gallery wall in my space. I know that no one is going to go out and play with a wooden racket. No one is. They're not going to buy it for that. They're going to buy it for the art. It looks like a very stunning piece of art when you have a collection of those. I can think of wooden snowshoes, wooden skis. I can think of baseballs in a jar or pool balls in a glass jar. All of those are art, and they're just a little bit unsuspecting. Of course, it adds a personal touch if you are a tennis player, for example, and you hang those on your wall, or you're a guitar player and you hang guitars on your wall, or you have some really fun glass jars on your bookshelf, and those glass jars have all kinds of different, like the baseballs or the pool balls or the dominoes or dice, and you are a board gamer or you love playing pool or what have you. If those connect directly back to an interest of yours rather than just a random "this is cute," that is a direct connection to your personality. And it's a little bit whimsical. It's a little unexpected. Another thought that came to mind is if your family loves board games, finding some vintage board games and using those as art is a really fun, playful way to add your personality to your home that is a direct connection to the things and interests of your family. When you're adding art, adding it in statement pieces like collections doesn't necessarily mean it's whimsical, but it is a little bit outside of the box. So think about collections. Think about ways you can make one decor piece that you fell in love with sitting on your shelf more of a statement, more of an art piece by having a few others, not necessarily the same, but just more of to make a bigger impact. And if you would rather have things like paintings or artwork that hang on the wall that you don't want to source at a big box store, try thrift stores, try vintage and antique markets, try flea markets, try garage sales, and of course, try Etsy. And keep in mind that sometimes the framing makes a difference. So even though you found a really cool print at the thrift store, changing out the frame and putting something that might be a little bit different can be all it takes to update that piece that just has felt tired for a while. Hey friend, do you hear that? It's the sound of summer slipping by. It is quiet in the house finally because those kiddos are back at school. And just like they're back at school, I want to invite you for a fun learning opportunity. On September 17th and 18th, I am hosting a live 2-day workshop where I am teaching you the 3 steps to creating a home that you can't stop gushing about. Friend, over here at Fig and Farm at Home, it does not have to be perfect to be beautiful, but there are some rules that we can apply, and I want to teach them to you because I see you pinning all those beautiful pictures on Pinterest. I see you gathering that inspiration, and I want to help you turn that inspiration into action. I see you getting flustered and frustrated when it's time to make a simple decision and a big decision when it comes to home decor. I see you worried about making costly mistakes or making the wrong decision, and I want to turn that into confidence. Because friend, design is teachable, and I want you to join me so you can learn the 3 steps to starting so that you can make change with confidence, so that you can practice those decorating muscles, and so that you can truly create a home that feels like a respite after the end of a long day. So join me in this 2-day live workshop, September 17th and 18th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And don't worry, if you can't join me live, not a biggie. Once you register for the workshop, I will send you the replay so that you can get all of the goodies too and turn that inspiration into action. I'm rooting for you, friend. I believe in you, and I can't wait to help you create a home that you absolutely love. So join me. You can register by going to bit.ly/fall home workshop. And I can't wait to see you there. The 4th way you can add personality to your home is very similar to what I just mentioned about having common objects used as art on your wall, like the tennis racket, for example. But if you think about anything that is out is an opportunity for decoration. If you think about that in the back of your mind, those are all opportunities to elevate the look of your space. So using everyday items as a way to elevate the look of your space could look like doing something like changing out those sweet little generic bathroom garbages for a plant pot, or hanging on your kitchen wall baskets that hold onions, garlic, or lemon. Using really sweet, colorful, I like hobnail bowls as the centerpiece of your table to hold the fruit. All of these are common objects, but all of those are very useful things. Everyone has a garbage. Why not make it cute? And whatever cute is to you, right? Changing out, this is the example I have in my home, changing out what would be a pretty boring, plain plastic garbage can, but using something that I found in the plant department because it matches a little bit more the personality of that space. Hanging baskets on your kitchen wall. I don't have this in my own home, but I'm picturing this underneath like kitchen cabinets where it's on that wall space that is kind of dead and open. But, we use onions all the time, onions and lemons. We use garlic all the time. Having those hanging out in a way that it's beautiful function is what it is. But it elevates the look of your space even with the commonality of it. It's just thinking outside the box just a teeny tiny bit. Another thing I think about in your kitchen in particular is if you have open shelving, which by the way, open shelving is so hard to decorate. But if you have open shelving, well, side note, collections really make the open shelving pop. White really makes the open shelving pop, depending on what color you have in the background, collections of something. So if you have white walls, blue or pink or some sort of color will make it pop. That end of side note. But even the common everyday objects like beautiful canisters, clear glass canisters with all of the things you use that might go into those canisters. I can think of dried beans. I can think of spaghetti. I can think of other kinds of noodles. I can think of quinoa or couscous, things that you might use on a normal basis, but now they're just out because this is where your storage is. Now, don't go and pull all of your things out if you have a wonderful, perfectly fine storage space for this. This is only if you have those open shelves that you're thinking, what do I do with this? How do I style it? Make whatever you have out work for you and use it as decor. The other thing I can think of too are the pots that you have for your plants. What kind of pots do you have? Are you using the ones that they came with in the store? Those are very, very generic, but you can up-level those by putting those same pots. I do like to keep my plants in pots like that so that I can have that drainage, but then I just drop them into a ceramic pot that fits more the personality of my room, or I like to drop it into a basket, or I like to drop it into something even unexpected like a vintage coffee tin or a copper pot or something that, again, if you're thinking about this as a decor item, it could be an everyday item, but when you follow that rule that if it sits out, it is decor, it kind of transforms that thing into something just a little bit more unexpected. And the fifth thing that you can do to add a little bit more personality to your home is something I've already alluded to, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth now, and that is to add vintage or antique pieces. Oftentimes there's a character there, a charm there, a warmth there, and definitely story, even if you don't know whose story it was, that are all kind of wrapped up into these pieces. They add an unexpectedness when done really well, and they add a character to your space that you just can't buy at Target. Adding vintage or antique pieces to your space can be a little tricky because how much is too much? And sometimes you'll see pictures of a space that is very, very antique, and that's okay if that is their aesthetic or their personality or the thing that they want to showcase in their home. But if you're just starting out and you want to infuse a little bit more of the old and the new, what I want you to think about is a ratio. How much old versus new do you want? And if you're just kind of dabbling with the bringing in some old pieces to complement the new, maybe you have a 1/3 to 2/3 ratio. Maybe you have 1/3 of vintage pieces complementing the 2/3. And that can help you if you are standing in one room and you're looking around and you're thinking item specific, counting the items, how many things, big pieces of furniture are old versus new, and you have that 1/3 to 2/3 ratio, you're going to keep that balance in check. Of course, if you want more vintage, more antique, think about the ratio in mind, and that will help kind of balance and guide that parameter for you so that you don't overdo it or underdo it, so that you have something to kind of shoot for before you think, oh, I've overdone it, I've done too much. Now, of course, there are so many more nuances to how to do that, and you want to think about all kinds of things like the heaviness that furniture feels like, or the wood tones or the metals, and you want to think about what it's sitting next to. Sometimes an easy rule of thumb is to think, if it is old, is it sitting next to something new? Can I literally connect it to a piece that is opposite, that is contrasting what it is? If it's new, is it sitting next to or touching something that is old, and vice versa? All right, friend, that was a lot, but I have one more for you. And of course, this is tip number 6, something I like to say all the time, and that is to have fun. Play, experiment. There are no rules that say that you have to have your home a certain way all the time for 55 years in a row. And if you like that, great. But chances are, with you listening to this show, you might want a little bit of a change, and you might want the encouragement to take a step outside of the safe box that you're currently in. And if that safe box is a very tired box, if the things that you're looking at are making you feel a little about your space, try one of these tips this weekend and let us know how it goes. All right, friend, I hope too that you have signed up for the workshop, the free workshop that is happening September 17th and 18th. We are hanging out together for 1 hour each day. And if you can't make it live, no worries. Just register so that you can get the replay. But I'm teaching you how you can build the strong foundation so that you can create a home that you absolutely love, that you can't stop gushing about. I'm teaching you those 3 steps to creating that home for you. It is easier than you think. All right, friend, I hope to see you there. You can register for that workshop by going to the links in the show notes. I'll see you then.